going to start by just welcoming everybody to our fourth showcase, and it'll be our last showcase for 2021. And we want to thank everybody who's participated so far, all the people who shared their innovations and ideas by being a showcaser, and all those people who participated by coming and listening and sharing their good ideas and questions in the chat. It's been really great so far. So thanks, everybody. I'm Tracy. Oh, it's time. I'm Tracy, and I'll be the host for today. And the other two staff members who are here today are Alethea and Monica. So Alethea is going to monitor the chat. You can see that she's put in the links to our website for the showcases and to these slides, if you want to see your own copy of these slides. The link to this section, so if you want to see more about the people who will be talking today. And Monica is our project lead on this project, and she's been amazing, and she will be doing the tech Q&A a little bit later, and she's also standing in for one of the showcasers today who couldn't make it at the last minute, so you'll hear from Monica quite a bit. I'm going to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous people of all the lands that we are on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. Thank you. So just a little bit of housekeeping. I hope everybody has noticed that Gloria and Peggy are here. They're the ASL interpreters for today. And they will always be showcased so that people can see that who's interpreting at the moment. They'll take turns. We're going to ask people to keep their microphones muted, just so we don't get a lot of background noise. If you're having bandwidth problems, please turn off your video. That can help. And please post any questions that you have in the chat. So when we ask the first questions of our showcase people today, I'm going to ask you to just, if you have questions, just put them in the chat. Alethea will keep track of those questions, and then we can pose the questions as the presenters are finishing their presentations. Okay. If everybody knows where the reactions are, please feel free to use those to encourage us and let us know if anything's happening. If you're having any tech problems or anything, also let us know that in the chat. And I think everybody's aware this session is recorded, so you'll be able to see it later. Okay, so today the focus is on learning management systems. So we thought we'd just say a little bit about what a learning management system is, because we know sometimes people aren't familiar with the terminology. And one of the acronyms we use a lot is LMS, which is short for Learning Management System, which is an online platform that provides the framework and tools to handle all aspects of the learning process. It's where you can house, deliver, and track your training content. An LMS is designed to make life easier for curriculum designers, instructors, and learners. It can streamline the process of identifying and assessing learning goals, keeping track of progress, and collecting and presenting data for evaluating learning and how the evaluating learning and how the learning environment is supporting learners. And some examples that you may have heard of and you may have used in your own work or as a student are Desire to Learn, sometimes referred to as Brightspace, Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, and Google Classroom is also an LMS. And so today we're going to hear from people who are working in Moodle and in Canvas. And part of the purpose behind today is thinking about, do I need an LMS? Would that help me in my program and the work that I do with learners is the LMS a solution for me. So we'll also be hearing a little bit later from some people from Literacy Link South Central who are doing a project. They're developing a tool to help practitioners decide, A, if they need an LMS, and B, which, if they do choose that route, which LMS would work best for them and the needs of their
Tracy?
Program.
Just a moment, okay? I just need to catch up. You're talking a bit too fast. So
Oh, sorry. I'm
sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you need me to repeat anything or?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. So today we're going to be hearing from people from Cambrian College, Spark Employment Services that are also in Sudbury, and from the Toronto District School Board. And I'll just, so our the presenter from Spark was to be Amanda Valliere, a training facilitator there, but Monica is going to take her place today because at the last minute she was called away. From the Toronto District School Board, we have Shelley Lynch, an instructor there. And from Cambrian College, we have Brady Granger, who's the chair of the Schools of Social Justice and General Studies. Our timing for today is...
Sorry, Tracy, this is Peggy interrupting. Yes? I think we've lost the spotlight of the interpreters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing Gloria or
yeah.
myself. Thanks.
Just checking spotlight for everyone. Not sure why this happened, so we apologize for that. Gallery, Peggy, you're next. Thank you for noticing that. Perfect. And then Tracy is the last one.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Okay. This is our sort of loose agenda for today. So until about 3 o'clock is going to be our chance to hear from these three presenters. Then we'll take a short break. And then when we come back, Monica is going to talk to us about some of the tech that we hear about today. So I think she's going to focus on Google Sites and Canvas for today.
Yes.
So the first question we asked everybody for today is, how do you use a learning management system to create a space where learners can engage with content, ideas, and each other? So we're going to ask each presenter to talk to this question for about 15 minutes, and then we'll have more of an interactive conversation between the three people on a couple of other questions. So I'm going to turn it over now to Shelley, who's going to tell us about her experience using Canvas at her at the Toronto District School Board in her classes.
Hi, everyone. So I work for Essential Skills Upgrading, which comes under the umbrella of TDSB. And I've been there about 13 years now. Like everyone, was thrown in the deep end online and slowly gathered tools to help myself and the learners. So I'm going to show you, sorry, I'm just sharing. Okay, 1 second. You always think you're prepared. I'm like this in class. I always think I'm prepared, and then I don't have the screen that I want. All right, share screen. All right, so this is Canvas. All right, so typically this is where you come into Canvas. And I'm looking at what's called the dashboard. So these are all the modules I've created. So like we saw last time when Google was presented, there's there was a whole list of files and material in Google that we could share with learners. So this is a different interface. Here, I set up courses, and so far I've created 12. So one is my reference course. It's got my weekly notes, announcements, reference material, websites. If we go and have a look at that, within a course, you can have modules. So all of these are different modules that I can open or close to show you what do I have within a module. So my weekly plan is typically where I put announcements, any big news. Here is where we read together. So we read Robinson Crusoe last year. Currently, we're reading The Little Prince. I can just click on here and it takes me straight to the book. Also, we like to read news in levels. So various reading sites. Whoops, I pressed the wrong thing. At the end, no, not at the end, I moved it. Beg your pardon. If I'm hopping about too much, Tracy, just tell me. So what I'm looking for is my reference list material, English grammar, reference lists and material. So here I sort of put a master reference for articles, conjunctions, prepositions, various grammar rules. What I found to be the best reference sheet for people. So once I've set it up, I invite people to attend so I can see who is in my class, and they can see everything that I've published. You can tell something is published by this green tick here. If I'm working on developing something, it's not published, then it's not ticked and they can't see it yet. So what I've developed so far, bit by bit, is my sort of starting place. I just created this for the September startup, things I wanted to do with people at the beginning of this school year. I have a vocabulary course, a writing course, ESL reading. Some of my learners, they want to get into some programs that require ESL level 6 or higher, and when they took the test, they didn't pass. So I'm using some ESL material to help prepare them for that test. Prepositions, because it's always a big deal. Math, holidays and celebrations, special projects. We did a project on Greta Thunberg. And at the bottom are some tests that I set up. Now, each of these courses may look quite different. I'll show you a vocabulary one. Tracy, can you tell me when I've got 5 minutes to go, please?
I will.
Okay, so if I look in vocabulary, I've been setting up chapters as we work through them. So let's look at one here, lesson 11 vocabulary. So the first thing we look at is what is the vocabulary for this chapter? And I can edit this, I can make notes on it for them. After that, I can set up quizzes. Now, one of the advantages of an LMS is you can add different things. So it's not just a question of you go here to find a file or a picture or a PDF. I can actually create quizzes that they have to do. If I go into student view here, and if I start the quiz, All right, so there'll be a question. Pick a word which closest in meaning. So limitation, let's say restriction. And when I finished, I can submit my quiz and they're telling me I haven't answered all the questions. I don't care. But I got the first question right. So one of the advantages here is once I've set up the quiz, everyone can do it over and over, and Canvas automatically marks it for them. So my work is creating it. Canvas sort of does the rest for me. Now, when I say the rest, if I click on grades here, let's look at lesson 11, which we were in. Okay, so here's their scores for all the quizzes. I can see out of my students who's done what, who hasn't done something, who got full marks, who might be struggling. So if there's a number, that means it's a quiz that Canvas has marked for me. If there's this symbol represents a document, now that means something they've written. So I have to come and look at this and mark it myself. It may be text, it may be a paragraph, it may be answering questions. It can be any text document, but I have to look at it. Now, once I've looked at it, I can give it a mark. I don't know if there's one that shows those scores. Maybe not. Okay. So I won't worry about that. There's sort of so many features in an LMS. So I create a module as I need it. Or sorry, I create a course, and within the course, there's modules. On the right here, you'll see something called To Do. Now, this is really useful in terms of classroom management. So here is a list of things I have to mark. This is work people have submitted. And so I can easily just click on this and see who's done work, and I have to mark it without having to check anything. Coming up, the students will see this. This is a list of work they have to do. So I set up this list of work for them this week. They have to do the quizzes and the writing for lesson 13 vocabulary. They have to tell me what their goals are for September to December. And Orange Shirt Day, we're reading about the national holiday for truth and reconciliation. Now, if we look at this, so if I come in here, here is, so I borrowed this from ESL. Here is the exercise. And one of the things I love, I can edit it here, all within the LMS. So I click on T, that gives me a text tool. And I forget whatever the right answer here is, I can type in, I can match the letter to the number. I can write text, so I can write in words. Immigrants often try to assimilate. Once I've finished, so once the student has finished all their entries, you come down here and you click Submit Assignment, and they get confetti. That tells them they've successfully submitted their work to me. And at that point, it will be added into my to-do list to mark. So it will be within this list now.
Shelley?
Yep. 5 minutes. Okay, great. Thank you. So not only is it a vast repository of work, I can put quizzes, I can put writing, I can put announcements, we can have discussions. Over on the left here, there's also an inbox. So instead of going to email, we can mail one another messages from within the LMS. So one thing I really like is I can really do everything here. I don't have to download anything. I don't have to go to my school email. I don't have to edit and save and email things back. Everything is within the LMS. And I find that particularly helpful. Sorry, I'm just thinking. So there are many other features, and I haven't even got into them all, to be honest. All right, it's sort of like Word. You learn what you need to be able to do what you want to do, and it's the same way. So there's a calendar. I don't use that a lot, but it will show due dates, what work's assigned and when is it due. So it really, you can set this up to suit your personal style, okay, in terms of how you like to use it. There's an area called Commons, which I haven't got into yet, whereby you can actually download courses or modules that are shared in a common area. And I could, if I wanted, I could share some of my work in the Commons area with other people. I haven't ventured into that yet. Is there anything else you want to know? Down here, I have unpublished courses. So something I'm developing or working on or I'm trying out, but I'm not ready for the students to see yet. All of these pictures here, everything you see, I created. When you come in, it's blank. There's nothing there. So I add the pictures, I add any documents, pictures, files, and I confess it took me 2 months to get going, but now you can see within, this was, Tracy, was this last October we were doing this?
Yep, that's when you started, yeah.
Right, so in a year, I've created all of this. Now, my math is not so sophisticated. I really, within math, I'm adding pages. I'm adding sections that I want them to do. It may be a PDF or it may just be a page. But it's an easy way for me to assign work to students and tell them what do I want them to do next.
So Shelley, we've got a question about, just because you were just talking about that, about if there were tutorials that helped you figure out what worked best for you in your courses. Aha.
So I have been told that there are excellent YouTube videos. Now, I personally, I tend to like interacting with someone. So Tracy was my teacher. Tracy was the person, when I had a question, I went to Tracy. It's not that I can't go on YouTube, and I have been told they are excellent in terms of showing you how to do things and how to get going. But sometimes it's so much easier to ask someone a question. There's a couple of colleagues of mine, like we have not all got into this in my school, only a few of us have. But what I found interesting, I've seen other people's dashboards. We're all different. We have all created it somewhat differently, and I've learned something from everyone else's dashboard I've seen. So just as we all have our own style in the classroom, we all have our own style in creating our learning management system. Any other questions?
I don't see any here, but thanks, Shelley. That was fantastic. That was a fantastic overview of what how Canvas works for you and your students. We'll ask you some more questions about how people are working in the LMS and what the benefits and challenges have been for you. But I think that was an excellent overview, and I think it gives us a really good sense of how LMSs work, what they give us, and what the benefits of them might be. So thanks very much for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So thanks, Shelley. If you have any more questions about Shelley's presentation or Canvas, just pop them in the chat and we'll address them as we go. And now I'm going to introduce you to Brady Granger from Cambrian College, and she's going to do a presentation for us about how Cambrian was using Moodle, I think, especially after the pivot to remote learning. Thanks, Brady.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen if I can find it. I have way too many windows open. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we'll just go to my introduction. So my name is Brady Granger. I'm the academic chair for the Schools of Justice and General Studies at Cambrian, and academic upgrading is part of my portfolio. Just as a little bit of background, in the college system, typically our students, the majority of them go on to post-secondary, particularly the college system. So we do work with students who are on the employment goal path as well as the independence goal path, but the majority are moving on to post-secondary. So just as a little bit of background, pre-pandemic, so before March 13th, 2020, our classes were fully in person. Students attended in class Monday to Friday, either during the daytime, in the evening, or a combination of both. Our forms were completely manual, all paper-based. Our orientation was in person, so students would either have to take time off work or make alternative arrangements to meet with our intake officer. Our intake testing was also done in person in our test center here at the college. And then we had to pivot. And if you've seen the Friends episode of the pivot with Ross, you'll know what I mean. But if not, you need to go watch that on YouTube. So we went from completely in-person manual to the use of digital technologies. Our intake is now online. Our orientation is online. Our courses moved from in-person paper-based to Moodle. And as well as our support services within the college was also moved to be remote. All of that was done in a week. Somehow we were able to do it. So I'm just going to provide a little bit of an overview of what Moodle is. It is an open resource. It's called an OER, so it's an open educational resource. So it is available for free. However, there are certain costs that are associated with it in terms of initial setup, the yearly fees for upgrading and keeping it support, basically, the support aspect of it. It is used in the college for all courses. So every single course that is delivered at the college, whether it's a project type learning, a contract training, opportunity, or post-secondary, uses the Moodle system. It houses all the course content. It houses contact information, links to student support services. It includes assessment materials. It includes videos. It includes everything that the student requires in order to be successful. And we're really working hard on making sure that it's accessible for all. All the shells do look the same, so it is a better preparation for students who are pursuing post-secondary studies, particularly at Cambrian. They do have accessibility features built in that any student can access. They don't need to have accommodations in order to access it, and I'll be able to show you that in a couple of minutes. We also have our support services integrated into every course, so including I'll show you a little bit more in a few minutes, but it includes links to every support service area within the college, right within every Moodle shell. Of course, calendar services for students and faculty. It's a little bit different in our upgrading program because we are independent. Students, we have a continuous intake for 51 weeks of the year. So students can start any week. So it's very independent learning. You can set up, obviously our post-secondary courses are set up in a semester-based fashion where the calendar services are more used. So students will have due dates. They can color code different courses across their schooling experience. For us in upgrading, we don't typically use the calendar just because students are doing other courses. So here's the orientation Moodle shell that we use.
There we go.
Oh, okay. In upgrading. So across the top, you see that there's student resources, faculty resources, academic resources. You see down the left-hand side, you can collapse this so that it's out of the way, but you can go to all of your different courses, your dashboard. You can go to your grades. There's a badging system for different course material. The middle is the meat and potatoes of the course, whatever course you're working on. The right-hand side is all of our supports. So for example, in our orientation, if you have questions, Angela's contact information is right there. So it stays on the right-hand side. Any support you need, it's very accessible. The accessibility features available. I typically change the color of my background just based on my own learning disabilities. You can make it bigger, smaller. There's also other accessibility features that you can turn on and off for students as well. I am going to go, I believe I need to stop sharing and share, but I'll just go through quickly my presentation and then take you to the actual Moodle shell. So our student resources, every single Moodle shell has the links to crisis help. It has Glencrombie Center, which is our accessibility center. The Learning Center has tutors available. The library has any kind of, it has APA, everything from APA to finding journal articles, to finding videos, etc. Technology orientation, students can go here if they don't know how to use Moodle, if they don't know how to use the Microsoft Office products, which we use. Every student, including our upgrading students, have a free account to Office 365 where they can do all assessments and assignments. We do have tutoring services. We have Wabanode Center for Indigenous Services, so that's our in-house Indigenous support center. And then we also have a site that lists all student services, including to the student health program, which our upgrading students are also a part of. And then I just wanted to highlight the accessibility toolbar that you can turn on and off, but every student does have access to that. So inside Moodle, there's two different ways to set it up. This one looks very much like the way Shelley's is set up. Well, this one's more linear. Moodle for students at Cambrian is a link to where the students can learn how to use it. This is our orientation shell. So these are PDF files. They read it first. The orientation checklist is basically a checklist for everything they need to do in order to complete orientation. We start with meeting the staff. Again, it's restricted until each thing is done in order because we felt that having too much was too overwhelming for students. So if they just had one piece to do at a time, it embeds videos right in here. So it doesn't take up space on your computer. It doesn't take up space on your desktop. It's held in the cloud. We do have quizzes in each section, so we make sure that the students are watching the videos, are reading the material. They get to know their individual training plan. So again, it's everything we would do in person in orientation is now online. And we've had nothing but positive comments because the students can put their children to bed and do orientation. We give them a week to do it. It usually takes about an hour and a half. So we've really opened it up in order to provide students with the most amount of time and most accommodating fashion. Oh, is it going to go there? And this is the other layout, which looks more like the one that Shelley had. So this is our chemistry class. It has course information. Meet the Team is all of the faculty information, any of the teacher resources that students would require, and then it goes into each unit. And when you click into each one, it then goes into the textbook material, the assignments, everything that the students require in order to move through the course. So within each section, so for example, this is our English course, chapters 1 to 3, it has Word documents, it will have PowerPoints, it could have videos. I just wanted to show this aspect of it because it really does embed everything within it, and it's housed in the cloud. So, which means that you don't have to host it on your own computer. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a quick second so I can show the actual Moodle. Here it is. Okay, so this is the actual Moodle shell. Again, you can see as you go through, you can click on anything. We do have FAQs. We've taken a lot of questions that students have. On the website, in order for students to apply, typically before the pandemic, they would come into the college for 1 hour a week, any week they wanted to start, and attend an information session. We've now created a video of it. We house it on the website, and they're able to watch it, fill out a form, and then we're able to connect with them. So the other interesting thing about Moodle is it really gives a lot of opportunity to really customize it. So for example, on our MARC record sheets, during the courses, all of the assessments, for example, the milestones are protected password protected. They need to request the password basically in order for them to be able to complete it. So it would kind of look like this, where it would show you the quiz. You wouldn't be able to get into it until you were given permission. Our quizzes that are built right in, again, very easy to build, multiple choice questions. They do have short answer questions available, those ones the faculty mark. So it all really depends on how the faculty want to put in the quizzes and tests. What are some other features that I wanted to explain? We've also been able to, so it's very customizable. So in post-secondary, if students require accommodations for example, time and a half, you can actually set up each assessment to have a specific time frame for different students. So if the test is an hour and the student gets an hour and a half time, you could set it up for that one student to get an hour and a half. So in upgrading, it's a little different because we just provide all students with all accommodations. But as soon as they hit post-secondary, you are able to customize Moodle extremely well. Again, there's lots of contact information, stuff that we put as optional. Some things are hidden from students. So for example, same kind of thing as Shally, we hide restarts from students. There is information underneath it, but students don't typically see that information. We are able to, so for example, academic integrity, these 3 modules, or 4, sorry, are available for every single student. So our Teaching and Learning Innovation Hub staff can embed certain modules into every single Moodle shell, or if you just request it, they'll embed it. So you don't have to recreate the wheel, which is really nice. And because of the feel, is the same across all Moodle shells, it's really, the students are really set for when they get to post-secondary studies. And again, you can again see a calendar. You have your own private files. And I think that was it. Are there any questions about Moodle?
I don't see any in the chat right now unless I'm missing something. Does anybody want to pop a question in the chat about Moodle? That was great, Brady. That was fantastic. It's such a, I use Moodle a lot in my different places that I've worked, and I really like it. And that was a great overview of what Moodle gives you. And it's really great to see Canvas and Moodle together in a presentation. They have a lot of similarities, actually. For a free LMS, Canvas actually gives you quite a lot. Especially if you're thinking about it just for you and your class. I think you would want a more robust system like Moodle or the paid version of Canvas or something if you're thinking about the situation that Brady's described, where you're running classes across a large program that has a lot of courses in it. Moodle really gives you, you could see from Brady's presentation what Moodle gives you in terms of being able to streamline a lot of the processes and to have those customizable blocks that you can put into each course. So I like the point. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say there's a lot of apps that you can also embed in Moodle. So for example, H5P it's like PowerPoint on steroids. So you can embed your PowerPoint and add quiz questions throughout it to make sure students are following along. So there's a lot of apps that you can actually embed within the courses as well.
Yeah, no, it's very flexible. And I like the comment that you made around getting people ready for post-secondary. So using an LMS, even if you use it in a small way, in a program, if you're working with students or learners whose goal is to go to post-secondary, it will really help them adapt to that situation, because most post-secondary courses use some sort of LMS for some parts of it. Even if it's a face-to-face class, there's usually some LMS components of their experience there. So that's a great point. So thanks so much, Brady. So we'll get into sort of more nitty-gritty about challenges and takeaways with you in a bit, but I'm going to turn it over to Monica now, who's going to share with us the experience Spark Employment had in kind of not actually using an LMS, but building LMS functions using some other platforms and apps. Okay.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I hope you can see the slides for Spark Employment Services. Just to give you a bit of background, I had the chance to work with Amanda as our coaching client. So a few years ago, Amanda wanted to explore learning management systems and figure out what would be useful for her and her students. So we just wanted to give you a bit of overview of what we did and actually what she decided to go with in the end, because it is not a full learning management system. So Amanda is a training facilitator at the Spark Employment Services, and she often focuses on teaching Word, Excel, and other academic upgrading courses. She's also in Sudbury, just like Brady this time. So for her, as with many programs we know about, they were switching and looking for a way to reach their learners. And they were looking for something to allow them to provide something that would be very low or no cost, which was very important to them. Learner-friendly, instructor-friendly. She was just learning as she was introduced to the tools. She was looking for asynchronous and synchronous types of resources and tools that she could use, and quick setup. One more thing that she was looking for was learner sign-in. Yes?
Could you just slow down a little bit?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's really helpful. Thank you so
Absolutely. Much. And she wanted to make sure that there will be learners sign in. So the course is not visible to everyone online. It's visible only to her students. So as we explored different tools, we took a look at Moodle, we took a look at Canvas and a few other tools. It became very clear that she was finding the navigation, and we have seen in Shelley's setup and in Brady's setup that there is a very specific setup to go through and navigate through. She was worried that her learners will find this content a bit too complicated. She often works with lower level students, and that was an issue for her. So in the end, after looking at all kinds of tools and resources, she decided to build a Google site that would resemble a course, but would not have all the features that you are used to in a learning management system. So what I mean by that is that it wouldn't have the full grading system the way we have seen it by Shelley's presentation and Brady's. It would actually be something she will have to do a bit more manually. But she still chose to go with that because it was really matching the experience that her students had in the class when they came for the face-to-face session. So she wanted to continue with that. It became extremely popular with her students because she combined that with her live Zoom sessions. And she took her students through the actual content at first to make them comfortable and combine that with other resources that she was introducing them to. There's lots of content she added to her courses, and she still managed to do the sign-in by having students go through the Google login. So the way they will be signing in into their Gmail account, that's what they need to do to sign into the Google site to see the content and the course behind it. She also likes that it integrates with Google Drive, Google Forms, and YouTube, and there will be a few more pieces on that a bit later. But as Shelley and Brady really pointed out, in LMS, those are built in. All those actually happen behind the scenes, where with her choice, she has to do a lot more work on her own. She has to go to Google Drive to upload the files and folders. She has to find the YouTube videos and post them into the site. So there is a bit more work on her end when it comes to setting it up. Still, this is the look of the course that she built for her students. This one is about Microsoft Office Essentials, and all the courses and content she builds in will have an outline. Then there will be modules where the students can go through them and extra resources they can use. Now, I'm going to show you just very quickly and discuss the content and outline because she breaks it down week by week, day by day. And by doing that, like with many other learning management systems, it makes it easier for her students to understand how the day will go, where they're going to have a Zoom session with her, and it's going to be a synchronous session where they can participate and do things together, and what other modules she will be able to cover when they're not online together as well. So students can go and review those modules earlier. They can go review them multiple times if they want to as well. And she can continue adding and adjusting the content as necessary, even when the students are already in it. She also adds quizzes, assessments, and other pieces to it as part of the course. So it's usually a link to a document or a Google form as a quiz where students can complete those online and the results will be visible to her behind the scenes. So for her, that was a way to work around learning management systems without going too deep into it, but giving the students a chance to see what a course experience could look like and have that feel. So when they move on, they are a bit more prepared and more comfortable with the tools. Now, when it comes to the training modules, each of them is set up exactly in the same way, just the way we have seen with the older learning management systems. So for the training modules related to file management, email, documents, and spreadsheets, they're grouped into 4 different sections. And each module will have the Zoom link on top. In the outline, in the schedule, she specifies when the meetings will happen. They will be live. So learners can actually just click on this link and join her in the Zoom session at a scheduled time. They don't have to remember the link. They can see that link directly as a hyperlink for them. And then as they go through the content, so for example, in documents, they will land on a page with a list of all the content organized in a specific order, and she will be encouraging them to go one by one at their own pace to review and go through the content. At the bottom, she will also include navigation tools, so students can go back and forward to navigate through the content. This is all set up manually. Think of it as a blank page or a Word document where you decided to lay it out and hyperlink different sections. That's how she's doing it in Google Sites. But she loves this layout and it seems to work very well for the learners because also it's consistent. So they're used to the layout as well. Now, in the actual modules, when you get to each topic you're working with, it's broken down into specific steps. So just to guide the learner through the process. So step 1 in most of them will be to watch a video. And those videos are not Amanda's videos. She found them online. Some other organizations or users shared them. She picked the ones she likes the most, included them for the learners to watch. Then she also included a PDF or a document that she would have used when they were in the class together. So the learners can still review the content from that manual that she used, read through it, do the activities through it, but this time they don't even have to print it. They can see the document online and review it that way. So again, with COVID, when somebody couldn't have access to the printer, that became very handy. In the manual itself, there are specific activities that she may want them to do. So she will specify that in step 3. And in step 4, she will also include extra tutorial. So just as an example here, there is a GCF Learn where it actually includes the overview and training on that specific aspect that she's covering in the module. The learners can go through that as well. So she's supplementing a lot of the resources for the learners in that way. And in step 5, she will have additional resources. And those could be additional lessons from GCF Learn Free or other websites. It could be additional PDFs, quizzes, other things that she may want to bring in to make that module clear and consistent for her learners. And in some of them, there will be quizzes at the end. So the quizzes will be just to check if the learners understand the content. Those are Google Forms embedded directly into the site. So when the students complete those, she gets a notification that the quiz was done, who did it, and how they did it as well. Now, at the bottom, again, of each page, she has the navigation tools. So hyperlinks, back and forward links, all those are set up to help the learners navigate through it as if they were in a regular course. So they don't have to know. It's a very simple website that she is using. So as I mentioned, she embeds Google Forms in that. And that way she's able to test the students and they can actually check their own skills as well. They like them. They're very clean and easy to use, learner friendly. And then because they're scored right away, the students also can see the results and they can actually repeat it if they want to as well. So Google Forms are used there as well. And I think Brady mentioned that videos are very useful and handy as well. So that was one of the big features that Amanda and the staff really liked, being able to bring the videos. And again, videos that they did not have to develop because there's so many amazing resources out there. So they bring them in, they embedded them into the course. So the students don't have to be pointed out to different websites. It's all in one place for them. And they can watch it in the group when Amanda is in the Zoom session with them, or they can go watch it individually and re-watch it if necessary as well. So a lot of different sections that she built. The last one is extra resources. So links to typing tools, Gmail information, tools for Mac if somebody is using Mac. We know that a lot of our learners, when they were coming to online classes, they would be using different devices. So being able to address their needs and making sure that you can answer and help them if they get stuck somewhere on a Mac device, that's where she was adding those resources as well. So it became also a repository of resources for her students. So fairly simple, not a full learning management system, but it's working very well for her and her students as well. And we really wanted to just highlight that it doesn't always have to be this full system. Sometimes it can be a bit scary and overwhelming. So that could be a process for you and your learners to actually go in between before you actually choose that full learning management system you may be thinking about. So this is it. This is from Amanda from Spark Employment Services. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the chat right now.
Okay.
All right. We're getting a note that we're all speaking too quickly. So we'll all try to slow down and take our time. Okay. There's a question. Can you embed this Google site system into your existing site? That's from Nicole. Okay? Can you answer that?
It's technically embedding, yes or no, but linking for sure. You can link to it from your existing website. Embedding sometimes depends on the platform you use for your own website. So sometimes if you use Google site for your website and you want to embed another Google site, it may let you. Other websites like GCF Learn Free can be embedded into a Google site, but some platforms don't allow embedding. So you, through the domain for your website or from the tool you're using, may be restricted from doing that. So it's worth trying, but it doesn't always work, if that makes sense.
And it can sometimes cause some accessibility issues when you embed rather than link out to, because it can be a bit glitchy sometimes in the site. But yeah,
good question.
Yeah, that was a great presentation. Amanda was here to get her kudos for that, but of how to kind of get some of the functionality of an LMS without going to a full LMS. So either for the reasons of cost or for the reasons of helping learners adapt to online learning in a more incremental way. So and we're seeing a lot of people use the combination of Google Sites and a learning management system, or as a stepping stone to a learning management system as well. So it was a great presentation. So thanks to Amanda. So for Brady, Shelley, and Monica, I'm just going to ask this. Oops, what am I doing? Sorry. Our next question. I'm just going to share the screen so we can all see what the question is. So our first question for the three of you is, what was your main challenge, either in learning how to use an LMS or integrating it into your curriculum, or making sure that the learners understood how to use an LMS? Turn that. What about Shelley? Do you want to start off answering one of those questions? Shelley, you need to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, just to put this in context, I'm in my 60s now. So when I was younger, this would have gone much faster for me. And if I can do it, I think any of you can do it. But this is my story. I had 3 weeks of demonstrations from AlphaPlus on Canvas. And then we were left to our own devices to create something. So it took me about a month to create one module in one course. So it took me quite a while because I didn't find it intuitive. Like looking at the demonstration, it's like, oh, wow, that looks great, you know, and I'm familiar with computers. But it's like anything. I had to learn the interface. I had to learn how Canvas does things. So it was about 2 months before I got my first module going. And I had that ready to go. My students shot through that in a week. I was horrified. I was thinking, how am I possibly going to keep up with them? So them picking it up, lickety split, no problem, right? Like I had to show them things, but it went really smoothly. So the big learning curve was mine. Now you can see from what I created, I have hundreds of modules in 12 courses now. So I sped up and I got faster and better at doing it. It is somewhat front end loaded in as much as it's only as good as what I create. It's only as good as what I put into it. But I found it, my students love it. They love it, okay? I know they can go online and they can find quizzes and all sorts of things on the internet, okay? I mean, it's endless. But having our own sort of, it's like our learning space, and they're more comfortable. And some of them will explore the internet, some of them won't. But if I give them the work to do within our little environment, they're more comfortable, they're more likely to do it. They love the quizzes, they love getting the instant results, they love having to redo it to get full marks. And so integrating it, I haven't found that to be a problem. That, you know, it's just you pick your resources and you set them up. That wasn't a problem. My learners has been pretty easy peasy. So it's the biggest thing is the work for me, but it pays off. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invested this much into it. And now, where it's going to pay off even more, I get new students. So I say to them, okay, start at the beginning at the vocabulary lessons, and it's all there. I don't have to recreate. It's there for them to do. So that is a big plus as well.
Thanks, Shelley. Brady, did you have anything you wanted to say about challenges or I guess as Shelley put, the benefits of working within LMS?
Well, I would say D, all of the above. Not for me in particular. However, integrating it into our curriculum for English, it was no problem. It was the math and science because, of course, putting math formulas on digital technologies. So what we did was we purchased a iPad for all of the faculty members who use it as a whiteboard. So they're able to work with students in Zoom one-on-one if they need to show them how to do something. So that part of it was more challenging. Understanding how to learn to use Moodle. We have videos through our Teaching and Learning Innovation Hub folks that help. The orientation Moodle shell helps tremendously. So by the time students get into the courses, they're already familiar with the learning management system. For the faculty, because Moodle is so robust and it offers so many apps and opportunities to embed different things, the faculty are taking a while to learn how to use it to its best potential or to its most potential. But for students, they're able to navigate it pretty easily. You can use it on your phone, and it's very easy to use on your phone in the app. I've tried it, and it will actually integrate with Office 365 on your phone as well. I wouldn't recommend learning and doing everything on your phone, but it is possible. So the main challenge was definitely the time it takes in order to translate our curriculum from all paper-based into Moodle, and the assessment pieces, because we wanted to make everything secure, especially milestones, especially the tests and quizzes. It takes a while to make sure that it's done properly.
That's a great point. Thank you very much, Brady. Did you have anything to add, Monica? Oops. You're muted.
Yes, thank you, Tracy. Juggling behind the scenes. Just very briefly, just to add, for Amanda, I remember when we were working on it, and the biggest issue was the time to actually upload all the content, to organize it, to streamline everything, make it easy to follow. And as you have seen, she has a lot of training manuals and manuals in there, breaking it down, uploading it into Google Drive, and then embedding those, adding videos. That took a lot longer than she expected. And I remember she was coming back saying, oh my gosh, this is taking a long time. But I think now, after she had used it, organized everything, it's one of those things she can come back to and repurpose over and over. And she can see the benefit of that with her learners as they get used to the system much faster and use it more quickly as well.
I know, I often think about all the times we've been told in literacy, it's going to be a lot of work now, but it's going to be worth it. But I think with an LMS, people are finding that that is actually true. Like, I think we've all had experiences where we were like, really? But I think with the LMS, people are finding that it actually does pay off. So our last question for our showcasers today is, what was your key takeaway from this experience? So maybe I'll ask Brady to go first on this one.
Key takeaway. Well, I don't know what to say for this one, because there's been so much that the students are telling us. The biggest feedback we've gotten is they love it now because they can do it at their own speed and their own time. A lot of they can work around their life is basically what it's provided us the opportunity to do. So we were afraid that we'd lose a lot of students, but we actually gained a lot of students that wouldn't otherwise be able to join and move on to post-secondary, because we've now opened it up to 24/7, 365 days a year, in essence. So that is definitely one of the biggest benefits of going digital, going remote. For the faculty, it's definitely been a learning curve to get everything where they want it to be, and that it takes a lot longer than you ever anticipate. So to make everything work the way you want it to. So for a 100-hour course, it's going to take you 4 times that length in order to get it developed well on a learning management system.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. So you want to make sure it's something that you're going to be using over and over again, not putting all that time into something that's you're only going to use once or twice.
That's right.
Shelley, did you have a key takeaway from your experience with the Canvas? And just to remind you that you're muted.
Thank you. Overall, I would say what surprised me is my class made more progress online than in the classroom. And I definitely did not expect that at the start of the year. And the students were so happy. They, instead of asking me, am I making progress? Am I getting there? Where am I at? They're telling me what progress they're making. All right. That was just brilliant. Now, Canvas itself, my key takeaway from that is everything sped up. So there was a lot of work sending things back and forth and going and reviewing things, going over documents, checking, who sent me the work, who hasn't sent it to me, all of that sort of stuff, all of that tedious stuff that actually takes a fair amount of time was taken away. So not only did my work speed up, but so did the learners' work. So we're maximizing our time. We're making better use of our time, getting more work done. So they're making more progress. And what is interesting, they have less hours, instructor hours with me. Online, they have less time with me, and they're making more progress. And that sort of blew my mind at first. Like, how can that be? What is different? Okay. And partly it's the interaction, like how I do it. Partly it's the tools, partly it's what Brady said. In terms of when they do the work, like some of them, they're doing it at midnight or whenever they want to. They can go anytime and do it. So there's I think that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Shelley. That's fantastic. I just point to the chat to everybody. Heather made a great point around when we go virtual and when we do remote learning, we have to think about anticipate problems rather than when we work face to face or in bricks and mortar space with people. We can react to things that are happening in front of us. Sometimes in the virtual environment, we have to anticipate what is the issue that might come up and what can we put in place to make sure that it doesn't. That's a great point, Heather. Thank you for that. So Monica, what about the Spark employment experience key takeaway?
Experimenting. I think don't be afraid to experiment sometimes and then be open to try new and different things. I think as Shelley and Brady also pointed out, learners surprised Amanda as well in their response to being able to access the content online and working with her. In her case, she's still doing those synchronous sessions, so she is able to introduce them to the tools, take their time and clarify. But by the second week, they are just going and flying through the content as well. So it was all worth it, even though it was a lot of work at the beginning.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the three of you for sharing your experiences and your knowledge and your great insights today. It's been really helpful, I think, for people who are thinking about an LMS, people who are using an LMS, or people who are just thinking about how to move some of their classroom online. So that was great. Thanks so much. As I mentioned earlier, we have with us some people from a project from Literacy Link South Central. So we have Jeremy, Bradley, and Jeff are here. And they are working on a project. They're sort of working on a tool to help people, to help us in the field, figure out the LMS landscape. So I'm going to turn it over. I think Jeremy is going to be the person who speaks to this. I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the project and what we can expect from that.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me a moment to talk about the project, because it's always nice to be able to plug the work that we're doing. So my name is Jeremy Marks, and I'm a project manager at Literacy Link South Central. We're based in London, Ontario, and we have been working now for the past 6 months almost on a project, a digitization project that has a variety of different mandates, one of which is developing, as you can see from the slide here, matrix tools to help the primarily community-based LBS agencies that we serve in our 6-county area determine what learning management systems are best for them, whether or not, as you heard, in these presentations, whether or not a full LMS system is what they need, whether or not they're better served by, coming up with some kind of a hybrid model. But also our team has been doing extensive research, not only in terms of, what LMS systems might be best for community-based LBS providers, but also looking into Chrome extensions as well, about how to help learners adapt the digital format to best suit their needs. And one of the reasons we're spending a lot of time focusing on this is that because part of our mandate is to engage both with accessibility principles as well as the universal design for learning principle. And so we've been partnering with AlphaPlus to develop what originally was intended to be a matrix, and it's actually becoming a series of matrices to examine, as I mentioned, not just LMS, but also Chrome extensions. And so what we're doing is, in the process of researching Chrome extensions in LMS, we've also been trying to come up with some really good questions as well as features that we can include in these matrices. And so I was very pleased at the very beginning of this presentation that there was a definition of learning management systems provided at the very beginning. I actually made a point of screenshotting that because I know that's going to be very valuable for the work that we're doing. But we want to start out by asking our community partners, what is their definition of a learning management system? Do they know what they need, and do they know what they're looking for? And one of the things that we did over the summer was we did send out a survey to try to collect information about this, because one of the things we're also trying to do is facilitate a conversation within our community about LMS, about what people are using and why. And where I think we're a little different is that, again, most of the organizations that we at Literacy Link South Central serve and support are quite small. And so things like budget, how much an LMS costs, questions of tech support, for instance, who's going to provide that tech support? Do they have the budget to invest in a full system? And if they don't, what is the learning curve, both for learners as well as for instructors? So we're really looking at a variety of different features. And Tracy very kindly provided us with some examples of matrices that she had developed, which we're using to try to present to members of our community a series of questions or criteria where they can run through them and kind of check them off and say, okay, do I know what features I need? And also, as you can see from the slide in front of us, can we provide users with a faster snapshot of not only what individual learners might be looking for, but also what instructors are going to be looking for? Because I guess I could say our guiding principle with this project is a recognition that we are supporting instructors who don't necessarily have the time to do an extensive amount of research, especially in a very small agency where, like you've heard people talking about the pivot that has occurred over the past year and a half, people are saying, okay, how can I adapt? How can I take material, literacy and basic skills curricula that's already available, and then make sure that that's being delivered to learners in the most effective way possible? So as I think you can tell from what I've been saying, we're trying to really help forward that discussion. And then also in the process of developing these matrices, provide additional information from the survey data we collected. That way we can show people, okay, here are what other organizations in our community are using. And that research, in addition to our collaboration with AlphaPlus, is helping inform the matrices that we have developed. And so one of the ideas that one of my teammates here, Jeff, came up with, which I thought was really terrific, was, as you can see on the slide there, the idea that there could be a multiple choice quiz, a sort of elimination quiz that's screening which LMS best fit an individual organization. So when we start off by asking, what is your definition of an LMS? We want to use that as an ability to kind of come up with a quiz that can then help sort of screen, is one way to put it, but can help provide them with an answer of, okay, based on your answers to a series of questions, here's what we think might be a really good fit for you. And then taking that idea and then applying that to the matrix that we are providing. And like I said, we're looking not only at a matrix for LMS, but also, again, for Chrome extensions. That way, instructors can look at those Chrome extensions and say, okay, what do I anticipate my learners are going to want to use, to, again, help make their experience more accessible? What kinds of Chrome extensions might help people, for example, in the deaf-blind community? And we've been partnering with a project consultant from the CNIB who is helping us with that. So, to sort of put a point on all of this, what we're really trying to do is find out as much as we can from our community, what they're using, what they want and or need, not only have a further discussion about that, but also give them the tools necessary to really find what is the best fit for them. And because there's been so much adaptation going on, we are very much taking into consideration that it's probably not going to be a one-size-fits-all match, but that's okay. That's to be expected. And I guess the last thing I would say, really, and that has already, I think, been touched on, is that the learners really are going to help these agencies determine what works best. And I think particularly when it comes to something like Chrome extensions, for example, where those are really terrific. And another team member, Bradley, put together a really outstanding list of Chrome extensions that support all different kinds of, not only LMS, but different types of learning software. And so we're also using that as a way of showing people, hey, as your learners are raising specific questions, we've got a list of really useful extensions that you can refer to when you're making subsequent decisions. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. That's a great overview of your work. And okay, Bradley's making the point that one size fits all is becoming an illusion. I guess that's the point you made. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And that's what we find in our work too, is that it's often around how do we customize things to meet the particular needs of a particular and specific group of people. So I think your work is going to help us all with those questions and those coming up with solutions for what's happening in different programs. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy or the group on their project? Just wave or pop them in the chat. Okay, well, we'll wait for those. Jeremy's invited people to reach out to the project team if people have questions. It's been great working with you guys, so thanks for coming today and sharing that information. Okay, so we're getting close to break time, this is we're going to ask people, in case you can't come back after the break for the tech Q&A, if you'll share your feedback with us. Everybody who works in LBS knows how important it is for us to get feedback on the work that we do to make our work better and to make decisions about the future programming. So if you could share, it's very short. So Alethea will put a link in the chat so that you'll be able to directly link to it. Or you can go to the website and find a link there. So that would be great. So we're a little bit early, Monica. Shall we just break early or shall we, yeah, is that okay?
Yes, I think we can break a bit early. Let's give everybody a bit of chance to do the feedback form, at least to start the feedback form if you're planning to come back. We are going to set up the classroom screen as we do every time. So that way you will have a timer on the screen to see when you can come back. And when we return, we are going to touch a bit on Canvas, just the free trial, how you can see and sign up for a teacher account that will allow you to explore Google Canvas on your own. And then also we will touch base a bit on some of the Google Sites features that Amanda had in her system. Brady's program Moodle is fantastic. We didn't prepare that much for today for Tech Q&A, but if you do have any questions, please reach out to us. Tracy is a very good expert on Moodle at AlphaPlus. We all touch on a bit on different tools and resources, and if necessary, we will be contacting Brady with questions as well. All right. So again, thank you so much to everyone who participated in our first part of today's session. Thank you to our guest presenters for taking the time, sharing your stories, your experiences, and teaching us and showcasing some of the features that are really working well for you and for your learners. It was awesome. Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to share the screen. If you haven't used Classroom before, let me just quickly prepare that for you. Classroom screen. I'm not going to start from just the screen itself. It's a website we usually go to called classroomscreen.com. If you have never used this before, you go to that address and you click on launch. And as it's going to launch, it's just going to take one of the backgrounds that it's going to set up for us. We can, of course, change it if we want or leave it as it is. And then what we can do is we can add a timer or a stopwatch or clock, whichever one we feel is easier. I'm going to put in 10 minutes just so that we can come back and have a bit of a chance. But actually, we promised 15 minutes, so let's make it 15 minutes. It's going to stay on the screen. So as you walk away and then come back, you will see how much time is left before we resume our second part for today. Again, if you can't stay for the second part, we totally understand. Appreciate your time and thank you for being with us. So 15 minutes have passed, but I know some of you are still not ready to come back or are still taking your time. That's totally okay. I can see Tracy's back with us as well and our interpreters. Terry, thank you for coming back. You will see that I actually played with the classroom screen a bit as you were away, just to show you that this tool has a lot of different features. So, for example, you're going to see my squiggly diggly drawings that I did with a cat or the equations and things like that. I know in our session, Brady shared that math equations and things like that are tricky. Sometimes we need to do whiteboard or Padlet or something just to help us with doing the math equations. So this is just to show you that it's not perfect, but you could actually use this tool to draw directly on the screen as well. It takes some practice for sure. You can see my triangles or my squares are not exactly very even or nice, but I think with practice that could work. I just use touchpad, not even a mouse, to do that. So mouse may be a lot better for that, but it could be used for drawings and things like that as well. And I just enabled a few extra different modules that are available to us. So like a clock, an option to ask a question, or even a chance to kind of imply visually what may be the next activity we are going to do. And in this case, as we are all settling back at our computers, it's just to work together for a few minutes. I wanted to ask you a question, and you can use a chat, or you can unmute and speak to the question if there is a specific takeaway from today's session that you may be taking with you, an idea, a tip that somebody shared with you. If there's something that stayed with you and you would like to share with others, we would like to hear that. So let's take a minute or two. Think about the discussion we just heard, everything that was shared with us. Is there something that you will be taking away with you and maybe using or applying or testing or trying after this session? Feel free to write in the chat or again, unmute if you would like to share with us. Oh, Jeremy, you appreciate the emphasis on preparation of being proactive about the problems the learners can experience, as well as the ideas and suggestions they may offer. Of course, right? It's so many different things that we need to consider and switch and apply as well. So it is important to know and remember about that. So thank you for sharing that. It makes a big difference. I think I will always remember Shelley's energy and appreciate her time with us. And then also realizing that, we learn at different stages. It takes sometimes a bit longer or less time to do something, but that sense of adventure and trying different things and exploring different things, it's something that's just contagious. And I will always remember that from today's session as well. Okay. So take a few more minutes before we start our tech Q&A. I'm going to switch to our slides, and in the slides we have 3 tips for you. What I hope to do today is to take you through the tips directly on the slides and then also to demonstrate them to you so you will see me going live a bit. I just want to make sure that we go over the concept first so it's a bit easier to understand what I mean and then to actually share the features and tools we want to mention. Okay. So Smita, you're thinking that Canvas may be more adaptable to your group with learners with their current skills. And I think that's a really good point. When you're deciding on that learning management system or tools that you may want to use, it is really important to take into account your learners, your students, their skill levels, the access to technology they have. Will they get lost somewhere along the way? So just making sure that they are the priority, that they are number one for your considerations is a very good tip as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop the classroom screen. If you're interested in the classroom screen, again, I put a link for you in the chat so you can explore and use it a bit later. If you noticed I wasn't signed in into that account, you can create an account. You do not have to. So you can just pop it directly in your browser, open it up, share on the screen, and then you can utilize the tools. Creating an account allows you to save some of the things or prepare some of the things in advance. So that's just one of the ways for you to use it if you decide to do that
Sorry
as
to
well.
interrupt you, Monica.
Yes.
Just the classroom screen that you used,
Yes.
the best feature I liked is the random selection of students. So
Oh, yes.
nobody feels intimidated, like, you're just asking one person or somebody. I like that, especially in the summer class when you have 15 people and you want an inclusive participation. I just do the random selection and they had to answer the question.
Yes, I did not enable that as we were on the screen, but that's a really good point. It's very, very handy. Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Smita. I really appreciate that sharing that information. So jumping back to our tech Q&A, some of you are new, so this may be your first time joining us for the session when we do tech Q&A. The idea behind that was that you may have some questions around the tools that were discussed earlier. And we may not be able to answer all of them today, of course, just because we may not have enough time or may not even know the answer. But we wanted to at least start with some tips for you and then encourage you to reach out and contact us if you have any questions that may not have been answered today. So usually we prepare 2-3 tips that we hope you will take away with you so that you can utilize them. And the very first one is around Canvas. Canvas is a fantastic tool to use. Tracy has been using it a lot recently as well. We heard and saw how Shelley is using this tool as well. So one thing to remember is that most of those learning management systems may have price considerations. So for us, when we think about free or low cost tools, usually it's Google products, so potentially Google Classroom or Google Sites, the way Amanda may be using it. Then we start getting into some free accounts or trial accounts that some organizations may want to explore, and then the paid versions of different applications. So Canvas is usually a paid tool, but they also have an option to sign up as a teacher, and then they provide something they call Basic, I believe, that allows you to explore a lot of the different tools and utilize them with your learners. So Tracy, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Shelley is using that free teacher account. I don't think they paid for what they're using, and she has been using it for almost a year now. So you can see it didn't expire or nothing happened with that. but it is a great tool to get you in and try how it may work. So on the slides we are sharing with you, we did include a link to that section where you can sign up and create an account. And I'm going to go and show you that I can sign in and actually get into the tool as well. But I'm going to do it after we do the slides. So that way we will go in a bit slightly different sequence. But if you ever want to try this link, it's there for you on the slides to revisit after the session as well. Now, the second tip, or something that we'll go into a bit more detail, will be around the Google Sites. And you do not have to use it in any way. But the reason we wanted to bring it up here is that we discussed during our presentations that sometimes you as an instructor may choose to go as a sort of in-between tool before you actually dive into full learning management system. And again, there could be many reasons for you not choosing the full learning management system. It could be the pricing. It could be the time commitment for you to learn the tool. It could be the skill level of your learners and comfort level with technology. All those will be impacting how you make your decisions. So that's why we wanted to show you that this may be one of the early stages of teaching and using technology with your students. So in this case, when Amanda built her pages, she's using a lot of it during her sessions on Zoom with her learners. So she's navigating through it, showing it to the learners during her sessions, so they're familiar with it when they go there on their own as well. But really what she did, and you may have heard that from our previous sessions about Google Sites, it's all pages. On Google Sites, it's page after page after page laid out in a specific order to create the menus, the sub-menus, and the order. So I took a screen capture of Amanda's pages, how they're laid out, just to show you that the home page she has, it's the very first page where she specifies what it's about, the overview of the course, the modules, extra resources, and her contact information. So learners can contact her if necessary by email or phone number. Then she has the outline as another page underneath. So that's visible on the menu. She also has the training modules that are visible in the menu. And then under the training modules, you will start seeing the sub pages. So the file management is one of the sub pages, which is the module itself. And in itself, it can have additional pages to land the content so that the learners can go page after page after page and navigate through the content and learn at their own pace. Then if we go into email and documents, those will be other modules. Some of them are bigger, some of them are shorter. Documents is a lot longer. If you look at the middle image, you will see how many different topics. There's 20 or at least 19 different sections that she has underlined. That's 19 or 20 pages that she's pointed to, and each page has the content on it. So it's all just laid out as pages that are linked or hyperlinked to lay out this beautiful, clean-looking course that the learners can go through. Now, at the bottom, I mentioned that we created the shortcuts. Those are just meant to be tools that you will often see in existing learning management systems. So the breadcrumb in the learning management system, the buttons to help you navigate, they're built into that system. But on our Google site that's built like pages, they may not exist. So this is our way to help the learners navigate a bit more and find their way around as well. So they always can go to the menu, but in the actual pages, they can use the navigation at the bottom to go to the next section. And this is done literally by just putting in a text box that would say email, highlighting it, and hyperlinking it to the page called email. That's how this is done. So it's very similar to if you were in a Word document and you wanted to embed or hyperlink it to something else. In this case, we are just hyperlinking it to a page that exists within the same website, rather than pointing to another website. But she could still do that. So at the end, number 20 is actually the North Star digital assessment. So she may be directing her students to take that assessment there. That will be a link that will go directly to the North Star website, which is outside of her course, but she's embedding it or including the information about that as well. She may not link it yet if she's not ready to give it to her learners. So keep that in mind, that sometimes she may be choosing not to provide all the information yet, or to pace it and give it to her students when she feels they're ready to take that specific tool or quiz or assessment. but it is all pages, page after page of layout. Now on the right, what we wanted to show you is that when laying out the sections, remember I mentioned that she laid everything out by section. So section 1 was the video that she wanted the students to watch. Then she had the manual that was embedded into the page. Then additional activities and tips on what to do as students are working through that. This is just regular content on the page with the headers, the paragraphs underneath, images and videos embedded. So it is the regular features that you will find on your Google site to lay out the page in that way. Now, if you remember in the learning management systems, whether it was Moodle or Canvas, you saw a lot of options on the left. For example, go to chat or go to quizzes or go to something else. Those could be added in the layout on the page. They could be just added as extra boxes or table or chart within the page. Amanda just hasn't done it yet, or she hasn't done it because she didn't like that layout or she didn't want to do that. But remember, because it's a page, you can lay out and create columns in any way you want. So this page could be organized in columns and sections with tips, with contact information on the left, on the right, wherever you want it. So it can be very, very easy to do it that way. So I'm going to do that and show you live how that's done. But again, I'm going to do it at the end. I'm just going to take you through one more tip before we go live with the navigation. So the last tip I wanted to show you and just remind you, because you may have seen this happening as well, is the videos. So the videos and embedding the videos into websites or documents or slides can be tricky. It doesn't have to be tricky. As you know, with Google products, YouTube is owned by Google. So your Gmail account actually is your login very often for your YouTube account. And because Google owns YouTube, it allows you to simplify some of the processes and make things a bit easier. For example, when you are in Google Sites and you go to the Insert section, you will have an option to insert YouTube. What it will do, it will actually insert the video with the player around it. What I mean by the player is you seeing the title of the video and the play button that you can click on to start and stop the videos. If you do not use YouTube and just embed videos from your Google Drive or any other document that you may have or from your computer, it may not have the same player. So your students may not be able to watch that video in the same way, because then their device will need to open this document or this file, this video, and if it doesn't have a player or something is not working, that video may not play the same way or may not even work. So the beauty of embedding YouTube videos in your websites makes sure that your YouTube player is part of it. All the pausing, stopping, forwarding, closed captioning is part of that video that's already embedded. So it makes things a lot easier for you and your learners when you add videos in this way. What's also nice here, but also a bit tricky, is that before you use this feature, you may want to know what's the address of the video. So whenever you go to YouTube and watch videos, each of those videos has its own address. It's like a share button that you can click on, or the URL on top. It will tell you what's the address for the specific video. And what I mean by address is if you go to that address, you will see the video. That's where it's located. And in here, when you click on YouTube, you will be asked to either search for a video or you can paste that address right in there. So when you paste the address and click search, what Google will do is it will start searching and tell you, oh, we found one video that's matching what you put in your search box. But you will notice if you wanted to select this video, this select button will be grayed out. You won't be able to click on it, even though you gave the address, you can see the video in there. What's wrong? So think about the functionality of it. The functionality is that this is a search button. So if I, rather than putting a link, wrote cat and search for it, it may give me many different videos. So the system is actually structured for me to select the one I want. In this case, there's only one. So I need to click on it one more time. It's going to get a big blue border around it. And that's going to tell the system, oh, you selected this video. So now my select button becomes blue and I can click on it to include it into the Google site. This step is one of the most complicated things for many of us. It takes us a while to get used to this feature that it's not going to work unless you actually click on that video. So you literally just have to click on highlighted video that's there. It will get the blue line around it, and then you will be able to embed it. Otherwise, it's grayed out and you can't do anything. But after you do that, your video is there with your players. Your students just click play and watch it directly on your site. So that's the beauty of including YouTube videos and also using the YouTube feature directly in Google Sites. A lot of instructors we talk to, and also Amanda's colleagues, love this feature because in class, remember when we were face-to-face, they would have like a list of bookmarks to go to specific websites, or sometimes literally just a list of links that they would click on and launch the videos on site. Now they basically just embed this video and structure that as part of the learning for their students. So it seems to work very, very well. Okay, so the reason I wanted to overview that in the slides is just so that you get the general concept, and we are going to come back and now go live and navigate and show that to you in more detail. But before I do that, are there any questions? Okay, if no questions, again, feel free to chime in at any time. You know me. You can speak up and put something in the chat. I can always see your comments, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to return with the slides to the very first tip where we had the canvas. I'm going to click on the link and see if we can go and open it. So my link here doesn't work, so just give me 1 second. I'm going to exit the full screen and copy this link if I can. Come on, doesn't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting because then I will be able to copy this link. So I'm copying the link. I'm going to make sure this is actually a hyperlink for you, so that way it will work for you in the future. I'm just going to open a new page, a new tab in my browser, and I'm going to paste this link right in the URL bar. For you, when you click in the slide now, it should work. You should be able to go and be taken to that page as well. So when I do that, it takes me to the page that explains how you can use Canvas for free. And it will let you create an account right here. You can sign up and use the tool as much as you need to. Now, I do have a Canvas account, and I just want to take you there to show you that with that free account that I have, I can go to my dashboard, and you will start seeing maybe slightly different layout than what you have seen with Shelly, because I don't have as many courses. She already has 12, my goodness. I only have 2. That's what we were testing and trying. And then I know Tracy probably will have many, many more. I didn't have all this opportunity to try this, but I love the tool. Absolutely love the tool. So if I go to the dashboard, the first thing I can do is I can see the list of courses, and I can click on it and select it. So when I click on it, that's where it will take me into more details for navigating the course as a teacher, or I can actually go and switch it to student view and then watch and use it as a student. It may have some similar features, maybe sometimes slightly different layout, just because teachers will have more tools to create the content as well. So it allows you to go both ways, which even Shelly showed you. She switched to the student view, which was beautiful because as you're building this and organizing it, you can see what the students will see after you finish building it. So it makes that switching back and forth a lot easier rather than signing out from your teacher account and signing in as a student. So a beautiful feature to use in here. You can add different modules. You can bring in all kinds of different sections. So there will be assignments, discussions, grades, and so on. It's beautiful. But as we mentioned earlier, for some learners who are just starting with online learning, this may be a bit overwhelming at first. So that's why Amanda did not go with this tool right away. She's basically getting her students used to working online, navigating through links and videos and things like that. And at some point in the future, she may bring them here to get them more comfortable with tools like that. But just to show you that when you come here with your teacher account, your free account, you will be able to see all this content, not the courses, because the courses we build, but you will be able to create your courses and see all the functionality that Canvas has to offer. Okay? Okay, so Smita, you're asking, could you show us one file or folder upload on Canvas in any module. Files, I'm not sure if we have files here, but if we come here, we
I
have
have
images.
practiced it. I practiced just like in last September, October, and then I just created 2 modules, but they're nearly empty. Just a couple of things I forgot,
Yes.
I guess. So I just want to refresh so I can get started.
Of course. So if you look at files, it will be any files that are actually added to this course. And then Tracy may have to chime in to help me here. But the idea is that if you bring PDF documents, PNG files, JPEG files, any files that you're adding to the course, the files section is just to keep them together. They may be spread out through the different modules in your course, depending on how your module is laid out.
So you mean that we are uploading things on the file section and then taking from there to other
what will
courses
actually, in a way, yes. But I believe what will happen is that as we are building the module, so let me just jump back here. As you're building the lessons and the different modules, if you add something here, it will actually be sitting in the files, just displayed in your modules for you to see.
Okay.
So you do not have to go back and forth. But sometimes as a teacher, you may be thinking, I know I have this great activity with vocabulary. I don't remember which module it's in. I can go to files to find that file as well. So It's just a different way to look at that. And then other things that you may want to explore, do not have to use all of them. It all depends what you will build here in the course for your students as well. Yeah. But the teacher, try those accounts, see how that works for you, explore. If you have more questions, as you know, we do coaching, we can do support for you and your program if you're interested in learning more. So we will be very happy to explore with you, navigate with you in more detail as well. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. I'm going to jump back to our slides just to remind you that I'm just taking you where you have references to everything we are discussing directly in the slides. So the tip number 2 was Google Sites and setting up a page like a course. Amanda has kindly given me access to her modules. We mentioned that the sign-in is required. And what that basically means is that if students want to come and look at the sites, they have to sign in with their Google account. I'm also one of the users or visitors to the site, so I have access to it, not as a student, more as somebody who helps with the layout, but I have a full view of her course and how she laid it out. So I want to show you just a bit more detail on how she did that and how she used some of the features that are part of Google Sites. So I'm right now in Google Sites editing mode. So what that means, I have all those tools on the right, I have extra tools on top. Those are to help me build the site. And if you remember from one of our previous sessions, we did cover some of that to help you understand that we have a page in the center that we are setting up or laying out, and then tools on the right to help us bring the content in. So if you look at this page, this is really a header where we just put the title and the image in the background. This is a section that has 3 different text boxes, and each of them is linked to a specific page on this site. And then we have introduction with the topics. We have Amanda's picture so that she can be a bit more visible to her students before they meet her for the first time, but also her contact information. So they can contact her if they have any questions or if they run into problems as well. Fairly quick first page for them, not too much detail. So if I go into this site, not in editing mode, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my publish site option to show you that this is what the learners will see. All the tools we have seen on the right, all that is gone, because this is the final version for the students to navigate and access. So now, if you look on top, you will see that there's the training outline, which is also provided here as a way to give students different points. Not everybody is used to the menu, so they may not see it. So we are bringing it closer on the eye level when they come in so they can see and navigate through it. Then we have the training modules that are here as well. In the menu, they are listed, so I could actually click on the training modules and select from the topic I want to go through. Also, there's an arrow in there that allows me to see, okay, that's the content within that specific module, and I can jump to that. If I go the long way, this way, just clicking on the training modules, slightly different layout, but the same idea. I can click on any of the specific modules and it will take me further. So it's laid out in this way to allow students navigation options depending on what they prefer. Again, they will be joining this site and using this site with Amanda as she's teaching them in her Zoom sessions. So she will also navigate through that and give them the access and overview. Now, you will see this click to join Zoom here. This was her way to bypass the issue of students not remembering their Zoom link. You know, we all get emails with reminders and the Zoom links to join the session. In the many emails we get, it gets lost. With learners who are not as tech savvy or don't use technology as much, they may not even remember where to find it or how to go about that. So this is just a way for her to create this link so that they can join the session directly from here. If I clicked on it, it will take me to her Zoom session. If she was there live now, I would actually be in her session. If she's not, I will be just in an empty room, but it's there for the students to access all the time if they need to. I'm going to jump into the training outline just to show you how she laid out the week. I gave you a very quick screen capture in our slides, but you will see here the full layout. So this is how she's organizing all the content. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. All the days are laid out, including the Zoom sessions, the topics that she's going to go over, and the quizzes or tests that she may include as well. So you will notice on day 1, she's going to do a learning style quiz with her learners. And then as she continues, the modules themselves, so the file management module, the eMent module, all those modules, within them, they may have Google Forms embedded to provide learners with quick quizzes or tests to check their knowledge as they go along through the content with her. Remember, the idea is that she's teaching them this content, but also giving them access so they can go through that content over and over again and practice as they need to. So if I was going to click on the, documents, I know she had documents there. Let's see if I can go this way. Email, creating an open document. So it's going to be getting started. If I click on that, that's going to start taking me now into full content of each topic or module that she has laid out. And you remember again, as I said, there was the step 1, watch the video. Step 2, look at the manual. And when you look at the manual, you can actually navigate through the entire page and just right on the computer, look at that. Or you can click on the icon and open it in a separate window. And that will allow you to make it bigger and in a full window view as well. Then she has activities in the manual. She may or may not provide them. So in here, it's empty because she may just have said in here, there's nothing that I need them to do as extra things. They just need to look at the manual. Then the tutorials, and in this case, it's GCF Learn Free, that's embedded here. So students can go through that directly in this website. So remember, there was a question in our chat. Somebody was asking, can I embed into our website? Again, some websites allow to be embedded. So what I mean by that is that this is now Google GCF Learn Free site embedded into Google site. So I don't have to navigate away. I can see the content from GCF Learn Free right here. But not all websites allow that. And you will be told, as a teacher, if you're building this site and you're trying to embed your own site in it, it will tell you it's allowing it or not allowing it. If it doesn't allow it, it will just put a hyperlink linking you to that other website. And it won't let you put the full content in there. This can be slightly confusing because see, as I'm scrolling, I'm still scrolling through the entire GCF Learn module that's embedded here. So you need to explain to your students that if you're in here in the center of your GCF Learn Free website, you're just scrolling through it. You actually need to navigate your mouse away to start moving your Google site to go to the next section. So there is some navigation she will have to explain and do with her students to teach them to manage to navigate through this content. And then additional activities. In here, she has sort of like a test your skills, Google form embedded at the bottom so they can do it. And it's embedded because it's a Google site that allows embedding Google Forms. So it's visible right in here. Again, they don't have to open another link and go there. It's right here. They can type the answers right here. I just do it manually, or they can put by calendar. If they don't do it, the system will say you forgot to put your name, you forgot to do this before they finish and submit the actual quiz or test. And when they do that, they will see the results, and she may see the results as well by going to her spreadsheet. With Google Forms, I'm not sure if you know, you can also set up notifications. So she can be notified anytime a Google form is filled out. So she doesn't have to check every day. It's only when she gets the notification, oh, somebody did the form, I better go and check what they did and how they did. So this is a Google form embedded. And again, if I keep my mouse in the center, I'm moving through the Google form. If I move a bit to the right, now I'm actually going to move closer to the bottom of the website and see the final bottom section. And that's where we have the navigation. So the student could go all the way to the top, but if they are all the way down, we could just give them the link, which is just a regular hyperlink, to go to the next section. So if I click on that, it's going to take me to module 3.2. And again, I can go through the content, finish, go to 3.3, 3.4, and navigate that way. So just to show you, if I go into the editing mode to show you how those buttons are set up, I'm going to recreate one for you. So you will see how it was done. So it's just going to load the page. So it's going to take a few minutes to populate. And now all the way at the bottom, I have a tab with text boxes. So I'm just going to do a very similar thing for you to show you. I will just go to the text box, which is on the right side under Insert. I'm going to click on it, and I can just write whatever I want. So it could be back to 3.1, getting started. My typing is going to be horrible here with Word, okay? The font is slightly different. I could even include this tiny arrow. It's just one of those characters on the keyboard. So now I have the text. It's normal text, but I can say, oh, I want it a bit bigger, so maybe like this, or maybe a subheading to be a bit smaller. I can also make it bolded, italics, whatever you decide. So in this case, I'm going to bold it so you can see it looks almost the same as what we have that Amanda has. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this text, and I'm going to say link it or hyperlink it to something. And now I have a list of pages that I can go to and find. So I'm going back to 3.1. So I'm going to link it to page 3.1, and it's going to do it for me. If I wanted to link to external website, I will need to know the external website address, and I will just paste it here where it says link. But because I'm going to pages that exist within this website, the system gives me a list of everything that's part, because it knows I may be pointing to a page within the website. I'm going to apply it, and now I have a very similar hyperlink that she has. If I want to change the color, I'll just go to the color palette and give it the emphasis. So now it looks exactly how Amanda has it. It's just how we thought it may be a bit easier for the learners to navigate. That's why we added that. You do not have to do it, but they do find it very, very helpful. Questions around that?
Okay, Monica, I have a question regarding the Google form that you shared.
Yes.
So when I shared the Google form, I felt that I shared it from my own personal folder, the original document. So I saw that a learner has changed it. So am I keeping one copy in my original folder and then having another one in the shared folder? So when they make changes and they submit, my original stays intact, right?
It's a different way of including it. So if you included it by going to Google Drive and embedded the form that way, then they may have a permission to edit the original.
I think that's what happened first time.
Yes, so the best way is actually to look at the other tools you have on the right at the bottom, where you will see YouTube as well. You will also see forms. So that actually will know, the system will know you're not embedding the form for somebody to edit. You're embedding the form for somebody to fill out. So they will not have the permission.
When you say going to the right side, like your shared screen, I see insert, and then I see forms at the bottom.
Yes, that's how you need to include it. That way they will not be editing the form, they will be filling it out.
Okay.
Okay? That's a very good question. That's a very cool. It's still saved in the Google Drive, don't get me wrong. It's still there. It's just included in the website in a slightly different way.
different way. I think this is the technical part that I missed out, and I
Okay.
learned by mistakes. Doesn't matter, but I learned it now.
We all learn as we go, right? So that's one of the things that we go through. But that brings me to the YouTube, which was the third slide that we were discussing as well. Okay.
Now,
So-
Monica, one last question regarding the Canvas thing. You were saying, so while you were showing, I was trying out, put a file. I found the way, the path to upload a document, but it did not succeed like in uploading. I don't know why. I just got the link of that, but the actual document did not get uploaded. I don't know why.
Okay, so why don't we just do that, go over that one more time when we finish this? So if you can
Yeah,
stay a
sure.
few more
At the
minutes.
end, I would share the screen
Yeah.
and show you, because
Perfect.
I want to develop it further. I have 2 modules. I want to go further with that. So
Perfect, no problem. So just before we wrap up, remind me and
Sure.
we're going to go through that. So going back to here, and then in many other systems, learning management systems as well, Brady mentioned that they include YouTube videos in Moodle accounts. I know Shelly would include videos in Canvas as well. Sometimes that embedding feature is similar or slightly different. In here, I mentioned that there is a YouTube icon. So again, on the right side under Insert, you go to YouTube and you click YouTube as an option. Now, it will open the search box. And remember, I said, if you know the link, you can just paste it here. It will find that specific link. I do not have one prepared for you today, but I'm just going to do my standard one with the cats and search for videos with a cat, right? So of course, it's going to give me many of them, but that explains the concept why the select icon is grayed out, because even though it shows me the very first one, there are multiple choices. So which one am I supposed to select? The system is saying, I'm not going to do it automatically for you. You need to tell me. And to tell the system, you just have to click on it one more time. I just tap, and then the blue border shows around that, and the select icon shows up as blue. And now I can select and include it. If it was the third video, I need to jump, or it could be both. So you could actually include more than one. But I want the third one. That's the one I want. I don't even know what it is, so I apologize for any content in this video. But the idea is that you do have to select the video after you add the link in there. Otherwise, your select button will be grayed out. So now that I have this blue border, I can click select, and the system brings the video. And remember, I talked about the player. So the player, the idea is it has the title, allows me to quickly jump back to YouTube if I want to make it bigger or watch in a bigger screen. I can also play it right away and stop right away. So the player or the tools from YouTube are embedded directly with my video as well. If I came and included the video by going Insert, Drive, and found a video in my drive and embedded it, it would still work. But the difference is it will take a long time to load, because anyone opening the video will have to almost like download it to their computer and then play it. And then depending on the computer they have, if it's older one, it may be trying to open up a video player or some kind of tool that may not exist or may not be working properly. And very often you will run into issues that your videos, even though they're added, they're not working properly. So that's why if you're using Google products, my suggestion, and actually for any products, when you're embedding videos, consider having them on YouTube and then bringing them into your website. It makes your life and your learner's life a lot easier because the tools look exactly the same as well. Okay, so that's the last one from the tips. Okay, it is 3:48. We do have a bit of time if you have any additional questions. If not, of course, we're going to take you back to our slides and remind you that we still need your feedback. And this is the fourth session. So for the fourth session, we also want to make sure that you answer our questions. We added one extra question at the end. If we ever had a chance to repeat this session one more time, because we ran 4 sessions, that was part of our business plan. If we want to apply one more time again, we want your encouragement. We want your ideas to let us know what will be helpful. How can we make changes to this setup? What will be different? What would you suggest? What will be helpful? So we want to know from you. And of course, your feedback, as you know, with our funding, it is important to bring that up as well so that we can report to the ministry. Were we successful? what did we do well? Where did we, need a bit more improvement as well? So that is not only for the ministry, but for us to consider. So we always welcome your feedback and appreciate anything you provide us with. So I know there's a link in the chat for you to follow as a feedback form. One final thing to let you know is also that we send out to you the badges. So I think Brady mentioned today badges when she was using Moodle. And Tracy, you have been using badges sometimes when you use Moodle as well. I don't know if it's in Canvas or if it works the same way, but just to let you know, we started trying using badges just to encourage you to learn more about that, to see how they work, because you may consider using badges in your program as well. So in this case, we issue them outside of the Moodle environment. So we go to badger.com and issue them that way. But this is just to sort of see if you will be interested, and also to give you a bit of an achievement award for joining us for our session. So if you came to 4 of them, you will actually have 4 achievement badges from us as well. All right? Feel free to ask us questions about that. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute. I can see that there's lots of activity on the chat, including the Canvas sessions from MTML. Tracy, can I mention that you may be part of that as well, or do you want to say something? You're just muted. Just don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yeah, we're doing 3 sessions. I think it's a series, so we'll do a little review of what is an LMS for people who weren't at this, and then we'll do an overview of the features of Canvas, and people will have time to practice it themselves if they want to. So we'll get everybody set up and trying out the different features of Canvas.
Perfect. Fantastic. So don't forget about that, because it's going to be awesome. Awesome. We all want to join and learn as much as we can, of course. Okay. So feel free to fill out the feedback form. Please fill out our feedback forms. Feel free to reach out to us. And if that's it, if you don't have any more questions, we thank you for joining us and hope you will enjoy the rest of the day. Smita, I know you want to stay for that question about Canvas, so please do stay.
Sure.
And if others want to stay and see what Smita is at, or how we may be able to help her, feel free to stay, but you do not have to, okay? Okay, perfect. So Smita, I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to let you share the screen. And
Sure,
then Tracy, stay.
Yeah. I just was trying to upload the lesson that we did today in class. I thought I can direct the learners, because they had some issues with the emails today, not able to get it. So I thought I'll use this one, just as a platform maybe to get started.
Okay, so don't forget to share the screen, because we don't see anything yet.
Yes, sorry. It says it's host disabled participant screen sharing.
That's no problem. Let me just make a change. So I'll make you a co-host. That way you'll be able to share your screen. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's this one. So I was in my courses here. I was in this one reading. So I created like some folders, but added just some links and a couple of documents, nothing much since last October, I guess. So I just went to this and I said, okay, I want to edit it.
Okay.
And I said, I want to, sorry.
It may not have been saved. That's why it's potentially giving you a reminder.
So it was this one actually. So if I just take that out, I said insert. I went document, upload document, and I clicked here and I selected the file that I wanted from my computer. This one or this one maybe here. It just shows like this. What does that mean? It shows the PDF. It's actually a saved PDF.
Yes.
And it appears like this.
Okay, it may not have a preview. So sometimes when it's an image, it may have a preview. PDF sometimes don't have a preview. That may be the reason.
So what do? I just say submit and close it?
Yeah, hit submit.
Yeah.
And let's see what will happen. So in there, you have a bit of an icon now or a link. And if it's going to be published, so link options, it's going to be as a link. Okay, for text link. And then the link is there. So I suspect that click done.
Done.
Okay. And then go somewhere where we can actually, because this is in assignments under readings. Is that correct?
Right.
Let's take a look at it, what the student would see if they actually came here. So if you go to the dashboard or somewhere on top, you should be able to switch to student view. Okay, go to the course where that is. Is that the language course?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm opening my account after nearly 8 to 10 months. So
Okay.
probably I've forgotten some of the things here. Okay, views, no.
No, this is still in your view. Tracy, do you know if the student view needs to be enabled in Canvas? Because I was able to see it, but I don't see it here in
I'm on the
Smitas.
dashboard now.
Yeah, go back to your class.
Yeah, to the course.
Yeah.
Okay. ESC program, okay. So yeah, I was here.
Okay, and then see on top, you have a student
yes,
view.
I can see, yes.
Okay, so let's see if you go to the one where you added the file.
Yeah, I think here added, yeah.
Okay, so
No,
it's
don't see
you have a few of them. Is there more than one? If you go back just one more time, yeah, back arrow.
Yeah, I have 2, 3 readings. So
Yeah, so let's just check if it's just maybe in another section. So nothing here.
it did even we could see the link in the side. So
Yes.
do they have to click there? I don't know.
Yes, but one more question, because right now you student view, but this is unpublished course. Is that correct?
No,
Could that be a problem?
I saw a green, so it seems published.
No, but you might not have, this assignment hasn't been published yet.
So go back.
So go
Okay.
back and publish, it was the last one, right? Yeah.
So in ESU program, it's the readings, I guess.
Yeah, so here you can, leave this, you need to, leave student view.
Yeah, first that.
Leave student view.
Yeah,
Okay.
go back
this is
to
it
the
says published.
course.
This is the one. It says published.
Yeah, but this isn't the one that you put the link in.
No,
So
it's
go
a different
back to
one.
the course.
I think yeah,
It
I'm not
was
sure.
Yeah,
this
see
one.
the bottom one there, Smita? It's grayed out and that little circle is not green.
The third
Which
one.
one?
The
The
third
third one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, yeah.
On the right side, the circle.
Okay, this one says unpublished.
So
Yeah,
publish.
So,
If you
okay.
publish it, now you'll be able to see it in student view.
Yes, but I got lost where we added the file. Sorry, there were too many reading
Yeah, I know it's
assignments.
I think yes. I was just practicing while Tracy was doing, and I think I created them and probably never went back, right? So probably I will figure it out.
So the difference is, Smita, if you want to, if you're making it an assignment where you're going to ask the students to annotate it or to write something about it, then you would do it like this. If you want to see the preview, if you just want them to read it and not do anything, you can just upload it as a file. And then when they click on it, it will just open.
Yeah, that's what I was trying.
Yeah, so instead of doing assignment, so when you go to the little plus sign at the top of
this one?
yes, and you get to choose what you're going to put in there.
Okay.
Instead of choosing
That's the reading.
assignment, in that little menu, yeah, just choose file.
Okay.
There you go.
Now I
And
got it.
then,
Okay.
then you can,
Yeah, it's there. The last one.
Okay,
For
and then
No,
and I just
should-
say what add item?
No. You see, you have a list of them now. Under the file, a list of files, you have for the record.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got it.
So you click and then
Okay,
add
add item.
item.
Yes, I think I got it here.
Yeah.
Great. Download.
now you can see the preview, right? Like
Thank
Yes.
you, Tracy, so much. I would
Yeah.
have struggled a lot with this without maybe your help. If you guided me the starting point, how to upload and what you need to select when you want to upload documents, not to be in assignments, but just a document, right?
that's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
See, Tracy is an expert on Canvas. All kinds of questions.
So
Yay, Tracy.
Tracy, can we reach out to you if you have any questions with
Yeah,
the
of course.
Canvas?
Of course. You have my email address, right?
Yes, I have.
And for anybody else who's still here and listening, I'm just Tracy at alphaplus.ca. And yeah, just send me an email and I could either answer your question by email or we can set up a quick Zoom session and
I would
share
love to
screens and
yeah,
stuff.
I will give it a try for 1 week or so and then come up with the questions and then set up a Zoom in case I'm still struggling.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be perfect.
Perfect.
And that's open to anybody who wants to do that. Just get in
Yes.
touch. And,
Over the summer, I used the Padlet as my,
oh,
you
good.
can't call it learning management system, but I used my Padlet for posting letters, announcements, week by week and all. And that really worked very well. They were extremely happy with that. So I want to go to one step ahead now from Google Sites to Padlet and now to maybe Canvas.
Fantastic. That sounds perfect. Thank you so much, Smita. And thank you for troubleshooting with us. We always learn as we go as well. So thank you
Yes.
for that. And Tracy, thank you for helping. And everybody else, it's 4 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us today and then for watching and staying with us. Reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Big thank you to our interpreters as well.
Thank you.
you very
All have a
much.
good week and a good weekend. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.